Imagine walking along the River Thames on a hot summer day in 1858. You take a deep breath, and the air catches in your throat. It's not just any smell, but one that hits your lungs like a physical blow, threatening to burn them from within. Your eyes immediately begin watering, and the urge to escape the stench almost overpowers you. If you don't leave immediately, you might actually die right here on the sidewalk. But what in the world could cause such a horrendous smell? Now, imagine if someone told you the answer is simply sewage. Picture this. The stench becomes so unbearable that the mighty British Parliament, the heart of an empire, the center of political power in London, is compelled to shut down. The members of Parliament are unable to continue their sessions due to the overwhelming smell. They pack up and run away to the countryside, leaving London to deal with the problem on its own. This is not a scene from a horror movie. It is the historical reality of London in the year 1858, when the city went to war with itself, a war against its own sewage. Welcome to our channel, where we bring you the craziest and weirdest events in human history. Some things are considered so horrible or unusual that they sound made up, yet they are very real. Today, we will discuss a peculiar event in London's history, when the foul smell of sewage brought the government to its knees. The year was 1858. A time when London, England, was basking in the glory of its imperial zenith. The city bustled with activity. Horse-drawn carriages clattered on the cobblestone streets. The air hummed with the energy of a populace that had yet to experience indoor plumbing. However, beneath the veneer of civilization, the city was engaged in a silent battle with its own waste. By the mid-1800s, London was a breeding ground for diseases like cholera, typhoid, and tuberculosis. These epidemics thrived due to the appalling sanitary conditions of the era. Human waste, industrial sludge, dead animals, and even blood from nearby slaughterhouses emptied directly into the Thames, which was not just a scenic waterway, but also London's primary source of drinking water. Imagine drinking water that has been mixed with the waste of millions of people. You would probably have a good idea of what it was like to be a Londoner at the time. For decades, the citizens endured the smell and the contamination without much complaint. But fate had a way of intensifying these conditions to unimaginable levels. The summer of 1858 dawned hot and humid, and soon London found itself in the grip of a brutal heatwave. The sun blazed mercilessly, temperatures soared, and the River Thames became a stagnant, fetid pool. This led to an unexpected event that few could have anticipated. As the water level receded, it left behind a thick, dark, toxic sludge. A concoction of human waste, industrial runoff, and decaying matter. The Thames had transformed into a putrid, malodorous soup, emitting a stench so rancid it clung to the city like a shroud. The situation was dire. People fell ill with cholera and typhoid. Death stalked the crowded neighborhoods, carried on the breeze that fanned the flames of public discontent. But despite the suffering of the masses, the ruling elite seemed unfazed. The politicians in their fancy suits and powdered wigs remained blissfully unaware of the gravity of the situation until the smell invaded the hallowed halls of power. In August 1858, the members of Parliament assembled inside the Houses of Parliament. They were there to conduct the business of the empire, but they had not reckoned on the great stink that awaited them. As they entered the chamber, the stench hit them like a physical blow. They struggled to breathe as the miasma filled their lungs, burning their insides. It was an odor so vile, so repugnant that it defied description. Desperate measures were taken. The politicians attempted to soak the heavy curtains in chloride of lime, a pungent white powder used for disinfecting, hoping to create a barrier against the nauseating fumes. But the smell seeped through, penetrating every crevice of the chamber. Meetings were hastily cut short. Lawmakers slumped in their seats, gagging and fanning themselves with papers, trying in vain to dispel the stench. Some were so overcome, they fled the chamber mid-speech, abandoning their posts in the face of the foe. The newspapers of the day had a field day with this spectacle, mocking the government and dubbing it the Great Stink. Onlookers crowded the chamber, eager to witness this unprecedented scene. It was as if the very soul of the city had risen up to challenge its leaders. To make matters worse, Parliament was scheduled to meet in just 2 weeks. But how could a meeting be held in such a putrid atmosphere? It was a quandary that threatened to paralyze the heart of the British Empire. Faced with mounting pressure and the threat of total gridlock, the government was forced to take action. After much debate, they finally approved a massive project. Its purpose: to build a modern sewage system to divert London's waste away from the Thames. This monumental task fell to a brilliant engineer named Joseph Bazalgette. His plan involved constructing an underground network of brick tunnels, a labyrinth of brick and mortar that would silently carry the city's waste away from its pristine waters. The scale of the project was staggering. Over 100 miles of tunnels were constructed, a feat of engineering brilliance that would transform London's sanitation forever. The project commenced, and with it, the great stink began to fade from London's nostrils. The men who toiled in the dark, dank tunnels were the unsung heroes of this war. They battled through dirt, grime, and danger to create a system that would keep the city from choking on its own waste. The clock was ticking. Parliament was eager to return to the seat of power, and the engineers had to deliver. As the deadline approached, the pace of work intensified. Men and machines labored around the clock, their efforts fueled by a shared sense of urgency and purpose. They dug, they holed, they laid the bricks that would one day carry the burden of London's waste. As the last tunnel was completed, the city of London exhaled. Relief washed over the populace as the stench of the River Thames gradually dissipated, replaced by the scent of fresh laundry, baking bread, and blooming flowers. The great stink had been vanquished, but not before leaving an indelible mark on London's history. By the end of the 19th century, London had been completely transformed. The once putrid River Thames was now a cleaner, healthier body of water. The credit for this transformation goes to Joseph Bazalgette and his team of engineers whose foresight and hard work created a legacy that continues to benefit millions today. Their names may not be etched in stone, but their contribution to public health and urban planning is immeasurable. So why does the story of the Great Stink matter today? Because it reminds us that progress is often born out of adversity. It was only when the stench of sewage threatened to engulf London that the leaders took action. It was the putridity in the air that pushed them to innovate, to create solutions that had been ignored for far too long. Moreover, the Great Stink serves as a reminder that public health should not be an afterthought. It should be a priority. The story of the Great Stink is not just about the stench that gripped London in 1858. It is about the resilience of a city, the ingenuity of its engineers, and the importance of prioritizing public health. It is a tale that resonates even today, urging us to learn from the past and strive for a cleaner, healthier future. In the end, London not only survived the Great Stink, it thrived. The city that had once choked on its own waste became a model of sanitation, a beacon of public health. And the stink, well, it went down in history as a pungent reminder that sometimes the most powerful forces for change are the ones that stink the worst. Did you know about the Great Stink of London? What other historical events would you like us to cover? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss out on new videos.